Welcome to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. This is your number one crypto podcast to hear directly from the movers and shakers, innovators, and disruptors in the cryptocurrency industry. Follow on Twitter for updates and to communicate directly at Woof Big Dawg. That's at Woof Big DAWG. Now, here is your host, the one and only Big Dawg Crypto.
Digital Bits is a protocol layer blockchain focused on supporting consumer digital assets. This is inclusive of assets such as loyalty and reward points, branded NFTs, fan tokens, and notably branded stablecoins. Find Digital Bits on Twitter at DigitalBitsORG. Digital Bits, making the future happen today. And welcome to the latest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, Big Dawg Crypto. We have Jabier here on the podcast. Jabier, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's fantastic. We're in Dubai, and we are at Dubai Creek Harbor.
Yes.
And
just want to show you the views.
Yeah, look at it.
The sunset view.
Beautiful. And you can see the tallest building in the world right behind us.
Yes. How was your stay in Dubai? Good?
My stay was good. It was fantastic. It was great. I have very much enjoyed it. And I've tweeted about this a few times. My first time here, I love it. Always wanted to come here, and with the crypto conference going on and just crypto stuff in general, it's been fantastic to see. But one thing I asked you a while back, and I felt like maybe you weren't going to do it. I said, would you come on the podcast? And you never said no, but we just talked about it, said maybe at some point. So when you said, I'm willing to sit for the podcast and just have an open, honest, candid conversation, I jumped at the chance. So let's get right into it. How did you originally get into crypto?
Well, crypto is, when I started knowing about crypto, it was back in 2014.
Okay.
I heard something about Bitcoin.
Sure.
I didn't really take it on board. And I was really going through hard times in 2016.
Okay.
So that's where I really tried looking into crypto more. And at that time, I didn't have money to invest. So I thought, okay, you know what, I will just leave it for now. And when I get cash, I will come back and I will invest that again. But because of the hard time, I had to choose what I really wanted. But when I started learning about how the currency, the world economy, the money system works, and I say to myself, this is it. This is the technology that will survive. And I started with only $3,000 back then. And I remember choosing which currency to buy.
Good.
And it was Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ripple, Litecoin.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have no clue at all, so I picked the cheapest one. At that time it was Ripple, 0.006.
Mm-hmm.
And 12 months later, Ripple did 500x.
Wow.
So it was just like a luck, a beginner's luck.
And that was in, when you say the early days of crypto, you go back, 10 years, 8 years, whatnot. But I think especially in 2016, 2017, it just absolutely it went from something that, let's say, not many people knew about to they started to learn about. But you had before you got involved with that, what were you doing? What were you, job-wise or living-wise?
Well, before that, I was not into finance. I was more into about fitness. I was a fitness instructor before that, and I worked in reception.
Okay.
I was not really into money or into any financial stuff. I was homeless as well before that. So it's just the thing that really changed my perception was as I was going through hard time and my wife was pregnant.
Okay.
That's when it really hit me to see what I can really do to make my life change.
Sure.
It's like I work from job to job, and I was a flight attendant. I still am a flight attendant, but I will be resigning soon. Yeah, so it's a journey how it takes you there, and then I decided, okay, you know what? Let me try investment. I was good in investment. I invested in Facebook long time ago, but only small amount. When I get into crypto, it really changed my life.
Well, let me ask you this. Crypto has changed a lot of people's lives. There's no doubt about that. But in some way, let's talk about the tough times. if somebody is investing in, and I think, as you said, you started with 3,000, right? There are people that start and they lose everything and they get completely despondent. What would you tell somebody that's watching this, that's listening to this, that is interested, but they just feel like, I don't say that they can't make money, but maybe they just had losses, right? They've gone after, they've chased this pump, chased that pump, and they pretty much knocked out their capital. Might have a few bucks left, and they want to still do it. Risk management for new people. What would you say?
To be honest, investment, we have lost as well in our investment. You see, like we lost Life Point, the first one that came out. I had like $800,000 loss in that one. But it's part of life. You have to take one loss at least. But don't think that you're gonna keep losing. There will be one project that will fall. The rest of them will do well. But whenever you're investing, you need to look into many things, tokenomics, the team itself. You need to try your best and go and meet them at least.
I agree with you on that.
And then look at funding, revenue. Ask them questions like, where is the use case? Because most projects don't have use case.
Sure.
Once you find out that this project is the one, then you put your money in before you start. Rather than just listening to the YouTubers or Twitters. Once you do your own research, then you can invest on it. Now, diversification is very good because it helps you maybe pick 4 coins, you believe, or 4 projects that has a really good fundamental. And one of these 4 is going to do probably 20 to 30x.
Right.
Rather than putting all eggs in one basket.
So basically with that, and trying to kind of look at that, you have, and just because I've followed you a lot, I mean, we've talked, so in going back a few years, probably in crypto, I would say you were one of the first people that I interacted with. It would message you through Twitter or whatnot and ask questions. Getting into a project early, I think is for a lot of people is, I won't say easier said than done, but they tend to go when it's already up on the charts. When you look, and I think this is funny because I was looking forward to having you on, but for a few key things that I kind of want, that you share with me advice that I've asked throughout the years, but I want people to hear, when you look at a project and it's not even on anybody's radar and everything, what are, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 key things that you want to see, that you need to see before you're not just going to invest, right, but actually look more into it? You mentioned use case, right? We've talked before about revenue, but what are a few things that are absolutely, I would say non-negotiables that you're not going to put, not just a dime, but you're not going to put in your time more into if they fail some of these tests?
Well, the thing is when you, it's like when you find where is diamond found? It's found in the rough, right?
Right.
So this is how I go for the gem that no one looks at.
Sure.
And then I ask question, okay, what are they used for? What they're trying to improve. Every situation I look in as a problem. So for example, if healthcare right now, for example, let's say take healthcare. The problem with healthcare is if something happens to you and you're not in the country you're living, they have to go back and forward to get your health record.
Sure.
And that takes long time. So it will probably, by the time they get all your health record, your whatever you're going through, they cannot fix it because it's too long to. It's too long for them to treat you.
Right.
So you have to see, okay, which project is gonna solve this issue. It's gonna be, are they gonna use a blockchain or are they gonna use something similar? So you have to see, okay, or Dent, for example, Dent. Well, it's one of the projects where it provides users Wi-Fi where you can sell your data to someone else.
Yep.
So that solves the project.
Yeah.
Or Veracity, where it started, where everyone skips advertisement, right? When you're watching ads, you're skipping it.
Right.
And the advertisement industry are paying a lot of money for you to watch that ads, and because you're skipping, they don't get the attraction.
And I remember specifically, you had sent me a message, and I don't always talk about different projects, different alts, but we've had different communities that have watched the podcast, and I remember with VRA. You said, I think it was one sat, and you said, I think it's going to do well. And I asked you specifically, why is VRA going to do well, and what did you tell me?
Well, I told you it's solving a purpose. The purpose was it gets more viewers for advertisers,
Right.
and the viewers get rewarded by it, and they had a patent.
Right.
So everything I researched about VRA at the time and now as well, it's a very good technology that's solving the purpose.
Right.
So when I find something like that and I look at the lower market cap and I ask myself, why is no one noticing this gap?
Right.
And because everyone is following the pump.
They're following the ones that have already pumped up. Yeah.
Yes, they're missing out the ones that's going to make a real
Right.
life-changing amount. So that's where I go and buy and scoop it all. So at one point I hold it around 30% of veracity, and everyone, once I hold it, I brought a scarcity.
Right.
And then they created a staking program where it brought more scarcity.
Right.
And that's where it just took off.
Getting in early on projects, and I've always said it, and like I always will say, do your own research, and I know obviously, you do that too. Looking at crypto this fall, and I kind of want to transition a bit to, there's so many people the new people, right, that are watching and listening here, and what would you say about, we talk about alt season, right? We talk about Bitcoin going up. How do you see this fall playing out in the crypto markets? I mean, can I ask you to make a prediction there, or just a guesstimate?
It's a cycle. It's a cycle. We've
Yeah.
seen it 214, we've seen it 217,
Okay.
and we're gonna see it again as well.
Okay.
Anything that goes up has to fall down.
Yeah.
It's just the emotions is gonna take people to the level euphoric stage where they won't believe it will crash. I still think we are still around early of euphoria. We have seen all the signs,
Right.
but we're gonna see a stage where all the coins will start pumping 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Right.
Just like November, December time of
The
217.
euphoria of,
And it makes you so excited that you will see your wallet and you think, wow, I am rich, I'm invisible. And you will think, oh, you know what, I'll just want to double it. It will double
Yeah.
tomorrow. And then suddenly you will see the big crash everyone is on about. Because think about it, okay, I reach a stage right now where I invest large amount.
Right.
So as a large investor, I look at, okay, when I do sell in the market,
Right.
I need buyers.
Right.
So when the buyers are euphoric, that's when the big players are selling. When they make an exit, it leaves all those people who are emotional behind, and then they face the big crash.
Right.
See, after euphoria comes anxious. You think why I should have sold it when it was at the top, and then comes in belief like maybe it's a bounce back up, but that bounce is just a short one and then takes you further down. So if you are caught out in after euphoria, unfortunately, if you don't sell, then you just have to hold it for another 3 years.
So are we talking specifically, let's go back to January 18, because there's many people that have said, look, I appreciate the podcast because we've had guests have talked about their history with 17, 18, and now. Do you think we're looking at a similar sort of thing where these projects go up and maybe some stay up and some don't, or do you think we're just looking at just about all of them, right, going up and then coming down like January 18?
This run is a bit different than 17 because you have institutions, you have big players, you have also a lot of people know crypto talking about it more than 217.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the run will be bigger than 217, but the cycle will still be similar. Because market always reacts the same way. It's like tulip bubble. You've seen tulip bubble, tulipania, .com bubble. You had housing bubble. Right now we are in a new technology of blockchain and crypto bubble, right? And the ones that has use case will survive. Who survives? It's very hard to know which one will survive. But the ones that's blockchain, everyone is going to use. It has speed. Has security and it has scalability. These ones will survive. Regarding tokens, it all depends on how genuine the CEO of the project is. If he really cares about the project, it will sustain, but you will still need revenue to sustain yourself. Because this bear market, when it goes back to the bear market, a lot of projects will not have revenue to last. So not because they're not a good project, they are having no net revenue, leaves you with nothing, and then the investors lose out, and then your project goes down. We've seen Lending Block, which was one of the projects that did the same thing. So we're gonna see a big euphoric run. Probably, I believe Bitcoin we should see around 200,000 in the next 3 months.
Okay.
Because euphoria is crazy, you will not predict.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to see how it turns out after that. But I'm gonna live around there.
No, but yeah, look, that was one of my questions. I always like to ask my guests what's your prediction of Bitcoin, and so you got that, and I feel like sometimes I shouldn't ask
I
them.
have invested in great projects.
Yeah.
Like I have XTB, which is gonna be very phenomenal.
So, anyway, full disclosure, that's a sponsor of my podcast, but they've been the sponsor of my podcast for almost 20 episodes.
It's just saying to you.
No, I mean, I'm a big. I had Albergio on, as you know, I had on. So I think it's great. I think blockchains in general, ones that are successful, that's what you want to see. So
this is why I invested in projects that has use cases.
That has you, yeah.
You know, and they will even regardless of the price. We're not talking about price.
Right.
But XTB is going to stay there because they have big adoption coming up from brands, from many users who utilize XTB, the blockchain itself. Like you've seen, Ethereum has stayed over 5 years. All the blockchains, they are here. You have Neo, it's still here. You have all the blockchain, even Litecoin has stayed. So blockchain is here to stay. Regarding all the other tokens and stuff, this really helps. In DeFi industry, that has not taken off yet. You're gonna see lending, people will be lending each other through blockchain, so they will stay. So all my projects I've invested, I believe that they will last longer, you know.
Well, let me, if I could ask something on that, and like I said, having followed you and we've interacted and talked on Twitter and Telegram and asked, and I've just watched, whether it was VRA or even in Digital Bits or other things that you've been in, one of the things that you've always said, and honestly, you're one of the few people to say this, and this is interesting to me because you always talk about what is the revenue of a project. You're one of the only people that says that, and so one thing that I've learned from, like we all learn things from experience, is that a crypto it says for the team, it is a business. And I think a lot of crypto people, respectfully, they don't think about it because they buy a token, whether it's a dog coin or whatever it is, right? And meme coin. And they don't think about it, or even other projects, but it is a business. And so businesses need revenue to sustain. So what would you say is just a number one or number two revenue factor that you like to see ideally in projects?
Yes, basically revenue comes with all sorts of forms, right? Most projects, they use their own token as your revenue, so they sell it in the market and they use it as a revenue, which is not good, to be honest, because if you do that, you're actually inflating the token and also
basically selling your selling equity. You don't,
and that's not the best thing to do. And most of them, they get the temporary hype revenue, so basically they invest in something, create a hype, push the price upwards. And then again they sell their token. But if you really want to invest in a project, you need to see the solid revenue coming from usage, right? So Ethereum has a usage of gas fee. I'll just use example of Ethereum because even though I have Ethereum, but I'm not.
It's the most common. I mean, it's so everybody knows it.
So you need gas fees, and gas fees are headache, crazy.
Gas fees are a revenue generator.
So these are revenue.
Go to Uniswap.
Yeah. So all those fees that generate, they have also what do you call it? You also have liquidity that creates demand for Ethereum. Right. You have also lending platform for Ethereum, and also now they have staking, and that will bring scarcity. Now the demand of the gas fee and the scarcity that is driving the price of Ethereum up. So we're in a supply shock. Ethereum actually right now has less, it's more scarce than Bitcoin. People don't realize it because most of the Ethereum is staked and getting burned, right? And there's not enough Ethereum out there. And people do need Ethereum for gas fees. So in a supply shock, I can imagine how far Ethereum can go. But it's not a blockchain to use your project. Because I'm not going to use my project on Ethereum blockchain because of the gas fee for my users. But still you have adoption and you still have people using it because the gas fee earns them money. So saying that, when I'm looking at a project, I see where is the revenue coming from. Is the revenue coming from adoption, from use case, or they keep creating revenue from selling their own tokens. And when I see all the revenue stream, like Binance, Binance gets revenue from everywhere. The guy CZ has sold lot of things.
Yeah, they're in everything.
I remember when BNB started.
Right.
I was thinking, okay, what's there for BNB? They said, okay, we will burn the token, and then we'll leave the last million. That was straight before we started, and then suddenly BNB started doing blockchain gaming, and now they have sponsored Lazio, and they're gonna create a branded tokens in blockchain. So they are basically in everything. It looks like a safe bet. So that's what you need. If you're going for safety, you have to look for revenue and usage. If you're going to make 100x, you need to look at because 100x project will not have revenue at the start. They will lack revenue. So you have to look at it in a future point of view, how you're going to create usage.
Okay. So, kind of pivoting from that to revenue and to the financial systems right now. Now, normally we don't always get into politics or whatnot on this because it really is a financial and crypto podcast, and not necessarily going there. But I do want to ask. We're in a situation now where the world's been shut down, and so it's opened a bit, but it's still, travel is a bit challenging sometimes. And I say this because just like you watched the financial markets in March of 2020 when there was a sell-off, right? And it happened, crypto happened, equities, and then you watch stuff get, I think what Bitcoin dropped to 4,000 and some luckies 38, whatever it was, some lucky souls bought it, and guess what? It's back up to 60 now. So, when you look at the worldwide situation, in particular to COVID and everything that's happened, 2022, how do you see it compared to, let's say, what we've been through? What would be your worldview for, what's going to happen, particularly to financial markets, but really with crypto next year?
Well, regarding crypto, I see, to understand what happened in March 2020, you have to go back 6 months before that, when you had the repo market. So the banks were not lending each other money. And the Federal Reserve had to step in and print money and give it to the banks, overnight repo. Now that created the dollar to get weaker. Right? So the dollar has to print and give it to the bank to lend each other because they were not lending.
Right.
You have to give 6 months for that to see the impact. So as they were printing, you saw Bitcoin and from September going down. From 9,000 September 2020, September 2019, till 3,600 in March 2020.
Right.
So you had a downcline, and it's all because what's happening behind the scene. It impacts all whatever goes in behind the scene impacts Bitcoin.
Sure.
So you had a fall of to 3,600, and then 6 months later, that was the lowest you can get. So 6 months from there, right?
Yeah.
And then you see Bitcoin shooting up from 3,600 to 60 right now. And unfortunately, in May 2021, just now, they are doing reverse repo. So if you have to give 6 months again, so probably December, you're gonna see Bitcoin because it fell. Right? So 6 months you're gonna see Bitcoin going up.
Right.
And then so 6 months from repo, you saw Bitcoin going down and then going up.
The opposite effect,
6
basically.
months of May, you're gonna see Bitcoin going up, which is crazy run, and then going up. So it's a similar event you're gonna see. But it's just what's happening behind us. And that's why I tell everyone that the crash should be between December and February. But no one really knows when.
Right.
You just have to be ready.
So, and speaking of that, so with Crash, and we're sitting outside of a share, with your properties, and I, have been very kind of you to let me, stay in one of your properties, and it's been awesome. But I said this and I tweeted this out, so I always say if I'm tweet something out, I no problem sharing that anywhere. This is an area that in Dubai, which is absolutely is just coming up. I mean, you see the construction going on. There's just so much here, and I guess it's right to the north of the city. Am I saying that correctly? The northeast a bit?
Yes.
I mean, but just slightly. And I have to say, any city's got one area which just is like the next one coming up. And from what I'm seeing, at least, this is the area of Dubai where everything's coming up. So you've gone in, you've aggressively, got properties and like you do. But one of the things that you've said, and I've seen you tweet this, and you've talked about this. You feel like, or I don't put words in your mouth, but you feel like, or you've talked of, kind of go into real estate. Like if people want to cash out their crypto gains, right, at the end of the year before something happens, would you advise gold? Would you advise silver? Would you advise real estate? A mixture? What kind of mix do you, for somebody's, revenue?
Well, this is my
money.
belief. I don't want to.
I want your opinion. Yeah, I mean, what you feel?
I really believe we're gonna see massive boom in the real estate market.
Okay.
So land and real estate will be the ones most crypto investors who have cashed out will be putting the money in.
Okay.
And there are many reasons for that. In Dubai, we are seeing property going up crazy level.
Right.
The area I'm in now is Greek Harbor. This is gonna be the next downtown in the next 5 years' time. So-
I just want to. I don't mean. I just want to say. By the way, the scene in the background is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is actually second only to my Alberta episode. Miami in the background. I got Miami, Dubai. I'm like, I love the on location. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm looking at it.
Yes,
You're
and
talking that's awesome.
It was good to have you as well. You know,
yeah.
I hope you had a good stay.
I did. I love being by the water. Like in any city, I love it. And it's just you're by the water, and you can see downtown Dubai, and it's like a postcard. It's just beautiful, and so it's fascinating to me to see the amount of construction. And I've gone on Twitter and just said how happy I've been to be in Dubai, and the people I've met, and just the food. It's just been awesome. And so to get a chance to meet you and be here, I remember when she has to come to the conference. Absolutely. But I mean, you've been in Dubai. You know, you have a lot of history here. You picked this area, and I can see why it's.
I believe this area because I have a vision. I see things far ahead.
Right.
I buy the supply and then just hold it. But because I'm also doing it for my project KFS, so all the properties I'm buying right now, they're gonna be backed with the project. And anyone who comes here and spends their time with their family, if you have KFS token, you're gonna get discounted. But also, I want to say in this podcast, I will love to accept Life Token as one of the
All right.
Bitcoin to be.
Awesome, right here. Breaking news. Awesome.
Yes, I will happy to order Life Token.
Okay.
If you are anyone holding it, you can pay for properties in Dubai. You can stay here.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes, and we will start this
Okay.
hopefully by next month or month after.
Okay.
We will start all the process once all the properties are ready.
Okay.
You can stay and the apartments in Christmas, Eid, and in New Year. I'll make it so cheap that you'll have to stay here. Probably $5 per night. I'll make it on Christmas Eve.
It's like a 5-star resort, man. I was in the pool today for a little bit. Just
yes. The only reason I do that because I want people. I don't want to take advantage of festival season. I want people to enjoy their time with their family.
That's cool.
And the thing about Dubai is you have all the people from different culture, different religion, different ways of living, and they're all in one country, and they get along with each other.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
There's no real like if somebody sitting there, you can go and speak to them. And not many countries have managed to bring everyone together.
There's a lot of harmony here. I agree with that, and just seeing everybody, it's been.
I believe a lot of people have started to realize it, and they're coming from Europe and other countries and thinking to buy real estate in here.
True.
They also have this real estate program of residency. So it's the real estate market will keep on rising. That's what I'm going to put my money in and lands.
You've been pretty good at following trends. Anybody that's followed you on Twitter and interacted with you in the Telegram groups, you've been pretty spot on. KFS, what does it stand for?
Well, KFS, I want to create something. I'll share you briefly. I'm being blessed. I've made so much wealth in crypto. I'm not doing it for money. I want to give back. Give back to people who invested, give back to people who have nothing. So KFS, once the business model is running and we're creating revenue, those revenue we can use it for charity to help people and change people's life. I just started interest-free lending.
Nice.
So you don't pay any fees, no interest.
Now, you've talked about that before. You don't ever charge interest on lending.
No, our KFS platform is if you hold KFS, we will give you lending 1-to-1 ratio, providing you give us back and you get the USD back, and you will not pay any charge because that's the right way to lend people.
I respect that. I respect that.
But not many organizations can do that because it's all about profits, right? So I'm taking a loss for that, but it's not about money at the end of the day. So that's KFS is more about values. It's about values I believe in. It's about values, how you give people it will change their life and bring tears to their eyes. Like many things you can do, some small things in life you can do to people and change their life. You don't have to be big, but very small. Somebody cannot pay school fees for his kids. Maybe there's a first revenue you can give and help them. And this is why I created Jabier to give back. So we love to collaborate with live talk.
I love that. Look, major respect.
I have respect for you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. Coming from you, that means a lot. So let me ask you this: a couple other kind of like random questions, but interested in at night. How much do you sleep at night?
I don't sleep much, to be honest.
I'm just curious, because the reason I'm asking that is that I've watched him, been interactive, sent him a message, and he said, okay, and it's like, I know over here, right, in Dubai, it's going to be 11, and then I see him post something at like 2 in the morning. I'm like, do you sleep at all?
I think his sleeping patterns have changed, but after this bull run, I will take a break.
You get some sleep in 2022.
Yes, spend more time with family.
Right.
And do things which values my time.
Okay. And when you're working, do you have on the radio, podcast, TV, silence, what?
When I'm working,
I'm always interested, when my guests have on, because some people they like music, some people like TV, some people just want silence. Obviously, we'd love to have on the Big Dawg Crypto podcast, but no, I mean, what in general?
Well, if I'm working in investment, because
when you're researching a team, when you're looking at stuff, when you're looking at tokenomics, what would you normally have on?
I like to I have like 5 mobile phones.
Okay.
So one of them is doing the searching, other one I'm looking at the market. So it's 5 altogether.
So there's not really time to listen to anything. You're more watching visual.
Straight at 5 because I have more than 130 wallets.
Okay. Wow.
So to track that is very.
It's a lot of passwords.
Phrases. But some of them I have not even touched it. So I have to go through each wallet and check. Like research-wise, I don't really go to YouTube alone. But I have 1 or 2 YouTube I watch. Like I like to watch your podcast.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's coming directly from the person. And I just take whatever I can and then go and do my own research. And one thing about me is when everyone says no, that's the thing I like to invest. And when everyone says yes, that's the thing I will not invest. Because when you're early and everyone is not doing, that's where the most money is made.
People get tired of waiting and they move on, and I watched that. Like I said, I remember with VRA, and I had the CMO. She was on. Marianne was on a previous podcast, and it's just one of those things where these projects have done very well, but in the beginning, people get tired of waiting, and the line looks kind of flat, and people complain, and they run to the next shiny ball, and as you said, patience. And just accumulating, and I think that's one thing I've always wanted people to learn and to realize that projects, that's the way to do it. If you find the right one, that's the way.
Yeah, if you find the right one and you just hold it, and you wait, you will never go wrong.
So patience. I mean, but would you say patience is one of the biggest things that people just don't have?
The problem is people they like to blame things or things like that. They always think the whales are bad people. So some investors they think that it's whales who's dumping. Markets, they are sellers and buyers. I'll give you one thing: whales don't sell market. Most of them they sell OTC. Because if you think about it, if I go and sell a big large amount in market, I will make it worse for myself as well because the price is going down.
That would hurt your holdings.
Yes, and not only that, it will affect the project itself as well. So we have OTC where we can sell it. So it's not really well, but the market has buyers and sellers, and the price does not dictate the value. The price is what people are buying and selling. It depends on supply and demand. The value depends on the purpose the project is serving. As long as the project has a good value, you don't need to worry about the price. The price will match the value over time. So that's all you have to do is buy and hold.
Buy and hold. It's a time-proven strategy, but I guess more people got to look at it like that. There's no doubt. Also too, in your spare time when you're not doing crypto, what sort of activities?
Well, I like to go gym, but I have not gone gym for a long time. I'll start my gym work out again.
2022, you got to.
Health is the real wealth.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I try and spend time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I have two beautiful kids. My wife is the reason for my success. She's been there for every time with me, and I'm blessed, you know. So I try, and I also do charity. I like to go orphanage and help them and do things, but I don't like to post this stuff.
No, I'm just asking because interested. But yeah.
Charity and stuff, because it feels good when you give.
Sure.
Without any expectation of that. But the thing is when I joined crypto, I needed to make money.
Right.
Now I already made money. I'm here to change lives. So I'll give you a nice story. And this gentleman, I met him last year. He wanted to commit suicide, completely gone. And I was like, what's wrong? When somebody's really low in life, they need a hand. So I started speaking to him. Everything okay, and it turned out he had a massive debt, like two beautiful kids, and one of them had basically a medical condition. So poor dad was going through a tough time. That happened in March 2020.
Right when everything was
low.
Yeah.
Low. So I was like, wow, there is a way for you to do it, but for that you'll have to come to my seminar. So he came to my seminar. He didn't even have funds to pay for the seminar, and I didn't take it because my seminar was only $25, and that money went to charity as well. So in my seminars, I told everyone get ready for lockdown because I knew there is something big coming. I knew COVID is going to be, and now the lockdown, there will be no more lockdown after this, but there will be a currency crisis that's coming up. So I read a lot of financial stuff, and I get to know what's coming. A lot of people did laugh when I say that, but then as it comes, they start to freak out a bit.
You've been pretty spot on in your predictions. I think maybe people laugh if they haven't paid attention to what you said. I've been watching what you said, and you've been pretty spot on.
Yes, but because I have strong belief, I say it rather than just keeping quiet. So anyway, he came to my seminar. I finished my seminar, and he looked at me. And when you have someone with a helpless look, I swear to God, my heart was like, I need to help this guy. So anyway, I sold this car. He had two cars. He sold one car, and he invested that $7,000 into crypto for the last $1 project. And now he's paid all his loan. He managed to buy one house for himself.
Nice.
He was like financially free. And the feeling he has, because of that feeling, I'm still in this crypto. Otherwise, I would have left crypto long time ago. Sorry, I feel like crying.
No. That's man.
I would have given up. I would have living in right now in a beach, enjoying my life. But I'm still carrying on because I really want to.
Look, man, you've been one of the most sincere person, probably the most sincere person that I've met in crypto. And it was interesting because, when I said I was coming up here and you said, hey, look, got a place for you to crash at one of your properties. And it's just a general offering thing. And, I think meeting people through this space has been great, but meeting people that are, and, we know some similar people, that just really quality people. It just, to me, that is some of the best part. It's just absolutely, probably the best part of this. And so, man, it's an honor to meet you. After talking to you for so long, I appreciate it. I'm impressed, man. Very impressed.
Just a question for you.
Sure. What you got? It's my first question to me in 18 podcasts.
What are you expecting in the next?
I'm kind of thrown off guard here, man. The next, you mean the next couple of months, or? So I think let me kind of answer the question, but turn it back. So you answered so I starting with CZ was the first guest, and I've always been very grateful that he came on, and I've had from Cryptos R Us to different guests, and I ask him the same question because I'm generally interested, A, and B, I want the guest that, and especially the ones that and the people that the guests, I'm sorry, the viewers, right, and the watchers that say, hey, I've learned something from the podcast, your guest really helped me out with something. I want them to get an idea of what the experts, and I'm going to call you an expert, okay? I hope that's okay, but think that BTC is going to do. So it's a long way of answering. The ranges have gone. You said about 200. I've heard 80. I've heard 150. If you took every guess that I've had, I'm kind of in the middle of all of them. 200, it could, without a doubt. I don't think that's impossible. 80, it could be at that. I think that's unlikely. I think somewhere in the 150 range, maybe 120. But the problem with limiting on that is you always talk about euphoria. I'm thinking of it today, and I'm thinking as Bitcoin's moving up slowly. Once we get into November and then even beginning of December, that's when, let's go back to 17. That's when Bitcoin went from a few thousand to 17. So do I think 200's kind of on the high end? Yes, but would I bet $1? No, I mean, I wouldn't bet. I'm just saying, like, would I throw? No, it's just hard to know. But I think maybe that 150 to 200 range. So a long way of saying, I think the markets are going to be just like you're saying. I think we're going to look at that incline, very similar to 17, but something like that.
What I can say is, so for those people who have invested and they're new, there are different signs of euphoria.
Right.
And once you see all those signs, just make sure you take profits because you are playing with money which your family needs, right? So all I can say to you, the signs of euphoria is you're gonna get people making crazy amount of money.
Right.
They'll have number plates of Bitcoin and all the crypto in their cars. They'll have tattoos on their body designed because they're so in love with the project they invested in that made them well change.
Right.
Your uncle, auntie, or grandmother, granddad will all be calling you to buy crypto.
Ask about, you
will also have people taking loans, credit cards, and buying crypto with it without any thinking. Even if they have to pay the rent, they will not pay the rent. They put in crypto because they believe they can double their money. And then you'll have the last best sign is you're gonna have all the points, including alt or Bitcoin. They're gonna go up 2x, 3x in a day.
Sure.
And that's what we saw. When I remember Lifecoin hit 600x. On the 6th of January.
Was it?
And that's the time where I saw this Lifecoin. Like, wow, 600. I need to buy it.
I mean, that's
the euphoria. You know,
but it's easier said. I think sometimes what you're saying is sage advice. I mean, the cash out, and I think, but I think that the problem, and this happened in 17, and I've talked to just different guests that have been on and said, I really wish more people would say what you're saying is remind people, because the problem is we have so many new people in the space that don't, all they see is euphoria, right? All they've seen is their friends making money on Dogecoin, where they don't really know how things can go when markets crash. And so to say take profit, I think not telling people, new people, that's an injustice to them, because that's not the, we're not sharing the experience that we've seen. So I agree with you.
Take profits. Also, bear market is much better than bull because you can make more money as well. So if you take profit, there's more opportunity for you, and also more learning curve. I'm very blessed that I've seen bear market because I learned a lot from the bear market. And the real project survives. We're gonna see similar event happen to .com bubble. All of them crashed, and then the real one survived. Which will be the real one is where the revenue, the use case, and the adoption will be decided. But blockchain is here to stay. Crypto is still here to stay. It just have to. It's an investment. When you're making profit, remember somebody out there is making a loss. It's an equilibrium where it has to be balanced. So if you made that much, that means that's that much in the pot left for other people. Whoever takes first benefits, the last one left, be left with the coins. You don't want to be left with a coin. At least take out whatever you invested. So play it safe, but in the next 3 months, the ride is going to be good. Everyone will be good, wealthy, but just be cautious.
Don't forget to take profits. And one other kind of a random thing, not crypto related, but on financial markets, would you want to guess what oil is going to do next year? I got to ask you that because you've got some history with analyzing oil pretty well.
Last year I said to everyone oil will go to negative level, and it really did. But now I think because of the dollar going stronger in January, because of the reverse repo, you're going to see the oil market going up, the real estate going up, and the land going up. These three will go up. So what I'm going to do is I will take my position now. I'm not going to tell you which crypto I will keep. There will only three crypto I will keep. One of them is, of course, is my project. Sure. I really believe on it.
KFS, you have to, yes.
And then I will go into real estate and land. And these are the two things I really want to. Because land, you cannot build land. And there's not enough land. So anywhere in the world you go right now, there's no land left to buy. And who's buying the most majority of the land right now? US who owns 25% of land. Bill Gates, right?
Yeah.
You just follow what they're doing and you'll be safe.
That's what the really super wealthy, super rich are buying
Just do
land.
whatever
Yeah.
the top players are doing
Yeah.
and you should be okay.
No.
But they will never tell you what they're doing because they need to scoop everything
Right.
first before they announce you. By that time it's gonna be too late for a normal person to buy one land.
That's, that to me, that's analyzing markets and that's watching trends, and obviously you spend a lot of time doing that, so it served you well.
Yes.
No doubt about that. JR, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you, my man. Thank you very much. And being in Dubai has been phenomenal. This backdrop is just, I'm going to put this one, I love Miami, but I got to put this backdrop over Miami. So thank you so much. This is the newest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast.
Thank you.
JR, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
You've been listening to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. Follow on Twitter at WoofBigDawg. Woof, Big DAWG. And run faster than the competition. Woof, woof.